How's it going, you guys? In this video, we're going to be adding and subtracting rational expressions. So again, just like everything we've been dealing with before, we're essentially just working with fractions. That's it. So remember, when you're adding or subtracting fractions, you have to have a common denominator. So the common denominator has to be the same number in the denominator. That's what we are looking for. So we can change the denominators, remember, just by multiplying by a number. So with this one, the denominator here is 5, the denominator here is 4. So the lowest number that they can both multiply to be would be 20. So if I multiply this fraction by 5 and 5, this fraction by 4 over 4, so that way I'm essentially multiplying by 1. So 4 divided by 4 is 1, so I'm not changing the value of this 3/5, I'm just changing the way that it looks. 5 divided by 5 is 1, so I'm not changing the value of the 5 over 4, I'm changing the way it looks. So after multiplying those things together, I would have 12 over 20 plus 25 over 20. And then I just add those two things together. So 12 over 20 plus 25 over 20 would give us 37 over 20. That's it. That's all we're going to be doing. Get a common denominator, and then add or subtract the fractions. So here, lowest number they're going to both multiply to be would be 33. So I'll multiply this one by 3 over 3, this one by 11 over 11. So now I have 22 over 33 minus 21 over 33. 22 minus 21 is 1. So this is 1 over 33. That's it. All right, so now we're going to actually do it with rational expressions. So again, what we're looking for is, do they have a common denominator? If they don't, I'm going to need to get a common denominator. If they do, I can just add or subtract them as I see them. So common denominator already, very good. So 2 plus 6 is 8 over 5x. That's it. Common denominator already, sweet. 2x minus 5x would be negative 3x over the same denominator. Sweet. All right, now, we don't have a common denominator, but what I can do is I can kind of multiply them by each other. All right, so now it's 2 times x plus 3 and 2 times x plus 3, so they'll have the same denominator. So I'll need to distribute in the numerator up here, so I have 2x plus 2 over that 2 times x plus 3. Plus 3x squared plus 9x over that common denominator of 2 times x plus 3. So now I can actually combine my like terms. So I have 3x squared, and then I have plus 9x and plus 2x would be plus 11x, and then I have a plus 2 over 2 times x plus 3. So now another thing I look for is if I can factor it. So up here in the numerator, if I try to factor, I know that I will have a 3x and I will have an x. So now I got to think of something that multiplies to be 2 and adds to be 11. Well, if I try to get the biggest number I can and do a plus 2 here, that would be 6. And I can only do a plus 1, so that would only get me to 7. So that does not factor up there. So this would be our simplest solution. Or they even may multiply this out, so this could be 2x plus 6. But every now and then, we will be able to factor the numerator such that this thing actually reduces. So pay attention to that. Just like we were doing in the last video, we may be reducing some of these as well. All right, moving on. So here, again, look for the common denominator. If we don't have one, we can multiply them by each other. All right, so now I have, if I distribute, so that'd be 2x squared minus 7x plus 18, so plus 11x. 9 minus 7, so negative 63 over x squared. Now I'm just going to leave it x plus 9 and x plus 2, just in case something factors. Minus, so that'll be 5x squared. And then plus 10 minus 6, so plus 4x. And then minus 6 and negative or positive 2, so that's minus 12 over that x plus 9 times x plus 2. Now something else you need to remember is that this minus applies to all of our numerator. So we need to distribute this minus when we subtract them. So 2x squared minus 5x squared would be negative 3x squared. 11x minus 4x is plus 7x. Negative 63 minus negative 12, so negative 63 plus 12 would give us minus 51. All divided by x plus 9 times x plus 2. All right, let's see, does that factor? Can't take out a 3. 51 is 17 times 3. I'm going to try something real quick. So this is just scratch work. I'm going to try to factor out that negative 3x squared plus 7x minus 51. So if I factor out the negative, that becomes 3x squared minus 7x plus 51. So now that would have to be 3x and x. So 51 is only 51 times 1, or 17 times 3. So maybe let's try, but it's positive, so it'd have to be like minus 17 minus 3, which would make way too big of a number. So that doesn't work. That won't factor. So I'll just distribute the denominator. So negative 3x squared plus 7x minus 51. All over, distribute the denominator. So x squared plus 11x plus 18. And there would be our simplified form. All right, going on to part G. So again, with this one, look for your common denominator. Think about what it's going to be. Yeah, we can multiply them by each other like we've been doing, but something I noticed, this one has 3x squared, so there's 2 x's in that x squared. There's only 1 right here, so I know I'm going to need another x, and to get the 3, I'll need to multiply by just 3x. So since I just need 3x down there, I only need 3x up there, which would make them have the same denominator. So I don't even have to touch that one on the left-hand side. So 3x minus 4 over 3x squared plus, now distribute the 3x, so 21x plus 3x, sorry, 21x squared, my bad, over 3x squared. And then it combined like terms, so 21x squared is by itself. And then I have 3x plus 3x, so plus 6x, minus 4 is all alone, all over the same denominator of 3x squared. Let's see, even if I tried to factor that numerator, it wouldn't divide out because that's just a 3x squared. So that's all that I can really do there. That's it. All right, moving on. Last one of these hard ones. But you guys get it, you're doing well. So, first thing I noticed, I can't just subtract 1, I have to do it with multiplication. So in this one, I'm going to have to multiply by x minus 3 and x minus 3, and then x minus 2 over x minus 2 to get the same denominator. So something that I do, and I'll show you this because I know it's going to be over the same denominator. So essentially what's happening is x minus 2 times x minus 3, and then I have the x minus 2 times x plus 1. So that's coming from this first part, and then minus, so minus the x plus 4 times x minus 3. That's the way I like to write it, so that I don't have to keep writing the same denominator over and over again. So that now when I distribute, I'll get x squared, so x squared minus x minus 2, and then here's this minus sign coming in. That's just the first part, and then minus, distribute all of this, so x squared plus x minus 12, all over that common denominator. All right, so now distribute the x, so, or sorry, the negative, distribute the negative to all three of those terms. So x squared minus x squared is 0x squareds. Negative x minus x is negative 2x. And then negative 2 minus negative 12, so negative 2 plus 12 would be minus 2 over, so now this would factor. That could be negative 2 times x plus 1. But since I don't have an x plus 1 in my denominator, I'm just going to leave the top the same. And then I'm going to multiply out the denominator to get x squared minus 5x plus 6. That'll probably be the simplified version you see in Apex. All right. So here, Something else they're going to ask you is what is the least common denominator? So notice both of these, they have quadratics in both of our denominators. But look at how they factor. I have an x plus 2 and x minus 2, and then the other quadratic is x plus 5 and x minus 2. So what I'm missing, well, what they have in common is the x minus 2. So in my left one, I'm missing the x plus 5, so I know I need to multiply by x plus 5, so they have that in common. And then in my right one, I'm missing the x plus 2, so I'd have to multiply by x plus 2, so that now they have that in common. Now all they're really asking you, what is the least common denominator? They're going to write out x plus 5 times x minus 2 times x plus 2. That is our least common denominator. That's the answer they're looking for. They're not actually looking for you to add or subtract these fractions like we've been doing and get to a simplified answer. They're just asking you, what is the denominator that we had in common with both of them? All right, last one. So again, it's just asking for the least common denominator. So what do we need to have in our denominator to be able to subtract or add these things? Well, here I will factor out an x, so it becomes x times x plus 7. On this side, I can factor it as x plus 7 and x minus 1. So now I'm missing the minus 1 over here. And then a x plus 7, I would need the x. So my common denominator is going to be x times x plus 7 times x minus 1. Remember, it can be in any order. It could be x times x minus 1 times x plus 7. Could be x minus 1 times x plus 7 times x, even though you won't really see the x at the end. So you'll probably see this one or this one. Just remember that multiplication, it doesn't matter whether you write 2 times 5 or you write 5 times 2. They both mean the same thing. All right, as you guys go through this, please feel free to contact me. Let me know what questions I can answer for you. All right, I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.